Okay, here we go. Welcome, Remy. Remy Konimois, we're saying Konimois.
Yes.
I had some challenges sort of working out how to say his surname. Not a common one here in the UK, but Remy, for those who won't be familiar with Remy, because Remy's first time Remy's been on. Remy is someone I connected with on LinkedIn in recent times, and I really resonated with what Remy talked about. A lot of focus on the inner work, obviously, which I talk about a lot as well. But he's got a very unique, I could say, way of talking about it, a little bit different to mine, and particularly focused on helping founders and entrepreneurs on their path to sustainable success. So, yes, welcome, Remy. I also
Thank
want to
you.
go into your story a little bit before we begin, because it's really, really fascinating. So I don't want to sort of lead you, but I start wherever you like in terms of what brought you to this work today and perhaps some of the practices that helped you and now you use to help with others.
hmm Um, I believe that anyone who is on the path of self-discovery, there's a reason for it, right? And my reason was that during the college years, as a college student, I took part in an exchange program, and I was sent in the United States selling door to door. So it was kind of like life survival program for young people, how to learn about life. And I took part of that program about maybe 2 years. And what this program actually did is that it put me face to face with a little bit more than 8,000 people. So when usually on average they say that you meet during your lifetime maybe 10,000 people face to face personally. So I was forced to meet with 8,000 during the 2-year period. So that, I believe, that profoundly changed me, and all kinds of interesting synchronicities started to happen between these meetups with people. So I believe that that was actually the starting point when I really started, when I really got interested in self-development. And because of that really intense experience, I believe that there are really, like, at least in my eyes, there are two types of founders or entrepreneurs. The ones who at some point in the career have got really stuck and they don't know how to, move forward from there. And another types are the ones who at some point of the career, like, suddenly their whole potential opened up for some reason, unexpected reason. And I've experienced these both. Like, there have been times when I've, everything have worked out miraculously for me. Like, let's say that in a flow state, ability to stay in a flow state for a longer period of time, like maybe a few years in your life, like complete, like steady flow. And there has been times when I lost that ability. So I became a seeker of it. And I think that when I sum it up, then that is basically my whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, is that at some point I discovered about myself and about life really interesting things that I didn't know answers for, but they were happening, like synchronicity, like this kind of like flow, everything that happens in the state of flow, basically. Then I became a seeker because at one point of time I lost that ability. I remember exactly the moment when it happened in my business. So as a result, my business became artificial, and I became a seeker. I started to search for that state again, how to, get it back, how to maintain it, how to get myself back in the flow, and whatever, methodologies or books or whatever I could, find. I was always like one step away. Whatever new I learned, I still was like one step away from the solution. Like I almost got there, but I was still I wasn't there.
Right.
So yeah, it probably lasted like maybe 10 years or even more that I was like looking for that. While I was doing my business and serving clients, but I knew that something was missing. And when looking back, I think that maybe that became my the main underlying reason why I was doing business and why I was entrepreneur. That was the underlying reason to get this freedom back, because I realized that business itself it can represent freedom to you, but very soon I discovered that not at all. Your clients can chain you as well. So it's not like guaranteed at all. It comes really down to your inner freedom that you're able to maintain in yourself. And also what I discovered was that if I'm able to maintain that, then this is something that people are unconsciously drawn to. That this is something that actually is the very foundation of strong client relationships. When you are able to develop that inner freedom or the state of perfectness within yourself, then this alignment will start to happen, and you will start to differentiate these relationships that what kind of relationships could be long lasting in your business, and you start to see them through very fast and so on. So flow is a very powerful state, but I really haven't met anyone in the business world who could really teach you how to get there directly. And I was fortunate enough to stumble upon this Kriya Yoga course.
Yes.
It was a complete accident for me because I wasn't interested in yoga at all. It kind of like seemed to me like a mumbo jumbo activity, stretching the body and breathing and stuff like that. So I wasn't interested in yoga, but I stumbled upon this one course where actually one of my friends suggested to go there, and I went there with no expectations. And what this course actually was all about was it was teaching people how to release your disturbing emotions. And it wasn't teaching the process on the level of like on the mental level. It was teaching that process on the direct level to using your inner focus. Yeah, exactly. Direct experience. So that was kind of really new thing to me. I was never introduced to that direct, that I have my innate ability to connect directly with phenomena.
Right.
That was something completely new to me. And yeah, that was actually a starting point for me for really getting into the self-development on the practical way. Because before that, I was reading books and listening to whatever, right?
Yes.
Trying to understand things, but it wasn't direct. It was like on the mental theory mostly. So that course kind of like introduced me a completely new approach to life, completely new approach to myself. And now I have been, for the last 10 years already, I've been like intense Kriya Yoga student as a result of that. And I believe my method and what I'm doing right now in business is, the direct result for that. Because through these Kriya Yoga teaching, which is actually ancient yoga, right?
Yes.
It's not something that someone has come up today, but it's like thousands of years of old knowledge, and some master teachers have been able to hack that knowledge again, and so basically I became lucky. I found myself a teacher. His name is Ingvar Villedeshwananand. He's a master teacher of yoga, and I've been studying under his guidance for the last 10 years now. And I think that the reason why I've stayed there is basically that whatever questions I had for myself in the past about self-development, now I'm able to find practical answers. Like and the practicality is really important, because only the practicality gives you the tools that enable you to break through. For example, in our own everyday life, everyday business, we are constantly meeting with new problems, right? new challenges.
Mm. Oh,
And in the past, what happened to me was that I was trying to solve my problems or challenges through, working with the symptoms. Get it out of my table, find a quick solution, moving on, find new activities. Okay, this didn't work out. I will leave it that way. I will find a new thing, kind of like trying to solve things through symptoms. And the problem with this, at least in my experience, what happens is that when you're trying to solve the symptoms, is that you cannot really grow. At least in my definition, growth means that you can break through. It means that whatever problem area you have, you're able to work it through in such a way that it will not come on your table anymore.
Right.
In the past, I didn't know how to do that, but now using those Kriya Yoga techniques and methodologies, I count myself as a lucky one that I can really get through them, and that's actually got me interested in this. That is it possible to kind of like systematize this knowledge in a way that I could really teach maybe to other entrepreneurs, founders, at least those founders who are on the path of self-discovery or
you're open to it.
So that became kind of like my deep like inner calling, let's say that way.
I love it. Yeah, this for me is what I hear from a lot of people I work with as well. It's like they've achieved a certain amount of success in the external world, and then obviously they realize that the next level of their development or evolution is actually to go inside. And I think that realization happens for people at different times, or maybe people never come to that realization. But ultimately, I love what you said there about most people are kind of tackling working on the symptoms of the main issue. For me, as we talked about back and forth with our checking on each other's, commenting on each other's posts, a common theme that I feel develops in your posts, in your work is, and what I talk about a lot as well, is that the foundation of our reality is actually internal. So it's being projected from us. So what most people are doing is they're trying to fix external reality to make themselves feel better. It's like remember one coach said to me once, it's like most people are they're looking at a reflection of themselves in the mirror and they're trying to adjust the mirror to make themselves look better, which will never work because you're not actually working on the source of what's creating the reflection. So this is a massive shift when people get it. It's like, if I have a problem, instead of trying to fix the external, go to the source of the issue, which is usually some kind of misalignment within us that is just being projected.
Exactly.
We're seeing a problem in the business, but ultimately it reflects a misalignment within us or a trauma within us. And if we go inside and we work on that, healing, realigning our energetic system, then the relationship will automatically improve because our energetic output, our vibration has shifted. When you come to that realization, it changes everything because suddenly you're no longer a victim of your external circumstances. It's like you are. If you realize you're generating it, every solution is essentially found by you going inside. But of course, people kind of are ready for that kind of realization at different points. Not everybody is ready. I'm sure you meet a lot of people, Remy, who aren't quite ready for that kind of inner work at the moment, and they are very much trying to fix the external. Yeah,
I think that these areas we are talking about right now is you cannot really talk about these topics to people who haven't experienced it personally before. It's like theory to them. It doesn't mean anything to them.
Yeah,
and in society, we don't very often hear about people talking about conscious life and automatic life. All we see is life, right? So life is happening to everybody all the time. We are in it. We can't escape it. It's continuous 24/7. And we kind of get used to it. It's normal that everybody is in life. In other words, everybody's inside the reality, right? and we don't even question about it, that why some people are more successful than others, why some entrepreneurs are able to single-handedly do, things that others with their teams cannot do.
Yeah.
Right. And it's easy to, say that they are more talented. Yes, but what does it really mean? There's a lot of abstract, understanding about it. So it's easy to excuse. It's easy to say that, oh, this is that way. They're talented, or they're geniuses, or they're whatever. But in my eyes, this is just an excuse.
Right.
To not get into it, to not really understand it. But when you have the ability to really start to analyze it in more depth, then all kind of new world will open up.
Yeah.
Because in whatever area you're professional, you know that this area is systematic. It's not like, abstract. It's very systematic. Like one causes another, right? Everything is connected in whatever profession you're working on. It's always like that. And the reality is always like that. Whatever question you have in your mind, you want to understand, for example, like why this founder is so successful, why they're so genius. When you start to analyze it in more depth, you will find out that this is, again, very systematic, that you can find patterns and cause and effect relationships there, what causes another thing. So when you get into the details, then there is no such thing as genius anymore. It's just processes.
Interesting.
And and everyone who is interested to learn how to do that, how to analyze things in such a way, then they gain access to anything they want. So they can break through anything. There is no that kind of limitation anymore in their mind, because when you try to understand the world or reality through your mind, then you're going to face a very big problem, because at least what I have learned in Kriya Yoga is that our very innate focus that we have, that we are using every day, constantly, all the time, our focus always resides on some place, right? Through our activity, or through our thinking, or through our feeling, through emotions. So our focus is always constantly moving and residing somewhere. But most of the time, we are so immersed on the activity that we are not really aware where our focus is. Right? So as a result, what will happen is that we will definitely establish a connection with something, and this is called the reality itself. We connect with something, right? But for the next 5 seconds or 50 seconds or 3 minutes, we are not connected anymore. Instead, our focus turns back inward in our thoughts or our emotions, depending on the situation. And we start to analyze information through them in our mind, using our memory and stuff like that. So this is, in science, what they say is cognitive bias. Basically, what you're kind of like taking information from the reality, and then you move back inward, and then you start to analyze it through your memory.
Right.
Yeah. And this is actually lost connection from reality. So I think that the main problem, maybe I'm a little bit too deep right now, but the main problem with the main reason why founders are not able to break through is that same very reason, is that you establish connection with something, and then unconsciously your focus turns inward back again, and you start to work with this information in your mind through your memory, while losing the connection with the activity or the reality itself. Of course, it's very mechanical explanation. Of course, your focus goes back there, and but it kind of moves very fast between things, and this broadband connection will be lost. And as a result, everything becomes very blurry. You kind of know things, but at the same time, you cannot explain anything, how they work, how they're like, how one causes another, because you're not consciously keeping your attention there and seeing evolving as a process. maybe it's a little bit complicated right now, but that's actually the mechanics behind it. So yeah, that once you're able to really get to know more how your focus moves inwardly, then everything will change. Your abilities completely change. You're able, yeah.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's quite kind of you are going quite deep here, and it really resonates for me. But it is this when you started talking about this kind of stuff, it really made me stand up and listen, because I was like, wow, this is something I haven't heard explained quite like this before, which is why I find it so
Same
interesting.
here. I didn't hear about it. You know, I just found it out in the Kriya Yoga course.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
completely blind to it as well. Yeah.
I want to go deeper into Kriya as well, because it's a path that's always fascinated me. But I mean, what I love there is this is my understanding of what they would call, and correct me if I'm wrong, but karma yoga in these yogic traditions, which is the ability to be present and focused on whatever you're doing. And this is something I'm always kind of aware of, because I notice attention slipping off different directions. You know, for example, it's quite, I find myself in that flow state when I'm writing a post, for example, because I love the work I do. I love writing, and I get in there, and time just seems to dissolve in that place. It's just, I'm in such a focused, and I'm very much on purpose and loving what I do. For example, then, but I might find myself later in the day, I'm just making my lunch, and and all of a sudden I'm aware that my mind is in the future. I'm here, I'm making my lunch, but the mind is thinking about, oh, I've got to do this, that later in the day. And so at that point, I am not present, I'm not focused, and I'm not in a flow state. But I guess it's easy. It's quite easy to do. I mean, I talk a lot about purpose on this podcast, and this is why I think purpose is so important, because it moves you in. Because if you're passionate and you love what you do, you'll naturally come into a present moment, into a flow state. But when you're not, like we are most of the day, I don't. Maybe you'll see things a bit differently, but most of the time we're not present. We're drifting in and out of the present moment, and so we're rushing through things. Like, let me do this. Let me do the washing up really quickly, because I've got to do this, that, and that later in the day. Or you may be kind of watching something in the evenings, and your mind is drifting off to what happened earlier in the day. So there isn't that present. So that's what I want to ask you. It is when you're on purpose with your work, it's quite easy to stay in that flow state, to stay present. But the rest of the time, I think we all find difficulty maintaining that focus on where we're at and what we're doing, because we're not necessarily feeling that passion with what we're doing. So how do you, with a business, for example, you do admin tasks, which you all have to do sometimes. It's not, you don't feel quite so passionate about that, whatever it might be, your finances, whatever it might be. How do you is it a case of just like meditation, continually bringing your awareness back to the present moment throughout the day? Mm-hmm. Is that how you would see it?
You brought up this karma yoga principle. This is a really important principle. When looking back, I believe that that was something I was introduced in America when I was selling doors, bookstore to door. It means that through some circumstances, you're forced to stay in the activity, completely focused with the activity itself.
Right.
And as a result, you are not thinking much at all. So your thinking apparatus will move backwards. And what comes forward is you being aware of the activity itself. You kind of like focused on the activity, and you keep your focus on the activity, and you keep moving and staying in the moment through that physical activity, what you're doing. So that was happening to me there. And this is, I believe one of the best things that could happen to anyone, when they're able to stay there in the flow. The problem with it is that at least I was taught to do it through physical activities. So I was kind of like forcing myself through discipline to move physically, to do things physically. And as a result, as an indirect result, I experienced flow state. So that's how I, got introduced to flow state there back then. And later on, I tried to maintain it. But the problem with it is that you need to discipline yourself in order to, overcome your autopilot, let's say, your comfort zone, right? You need to do every single morning, every single day. It's not easy at all. You need to always overcome your autopilot or your comfort zone all the time. And it becomes really hard. I think that most people, they will not survive that. They will give up. Because it's kind of like being in a fight with yourself.
Yes.
You're kind of in a war with yourself. And when you're younger, it's easier to do that. But when, you get a little bit older, then over time, it gets harder and harder. So I think that in that context, being in a flow state, that's one way to see it. That's kind of like one level of awareness of the flow. And if you're able to maintain yourself that using those, methods to keep yourself there in the flow, that's great. I've seen people who can manage to do that. But in my case, it didn't work. It worked for some period of time, and then I saw that I was in a war with myself.
Right.
So yeah, but the karma yoga principle remains. It means that you are immersed in the activity and you don't think about it at all. So basically, what it on the mechanical level, what it means is that your focus is fixed on the activity itself, because usually that doesn't happen to people. What usually happens to people is that their focus is on activity and it goes directly back in their head inside.
Yeah.
But when you're able to keep it outside on the activity and being concentrated on activity, then magical things will happen. Why they happen? It's because you are now establishing a broadband connection with reality. Because the only way to connect with reality is through your focus. That's very deep. We are in reality. We are inside the reality all the time. But it doesn't mean that we have direct contact with it. And yes, we do have the direct contact with it, but for a very short time, very brief moment, we have that contact. And most of the time, we don't have that contact. So that's why we label everything. For example, let's say that we see something outside ourselves, in our work, what we do, we start to think about it. But the moment we start to think about things, it means that we are already lost the connection with the activity itself, and we are in our head, and we are theoretizing about it. And that is something that very few people in the world know, that this happens, and that this is a profound effect to your life, because it cuts you out from the reality itself. But only the reality can give you direct knowledge about how things work and stuff like that. But when you stay in your head, then all you have is your past experience, and you cannot gain anything from the reality itself that is happening right now. So these are deep topics, but basically I believe that it's the only conscious way to create yourself a path back to flow state, consciously. That you're able to repeat that. For example, when you wake up tomorrow and you decide that now I want to get back to this flow state, then you know how to do it, and you do it, and the flow will follow. And when you fall out from it, then you know exactly what to do again to get it back. And it's not a process of fight anymore. It's a conscious process. You know how to redirect your focus inside. You know how to keep your focus on some kind of phenomena or activity, and as a result, the flow will start. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. You've explained it perfectly. I mean, it's the reason why I like that karma yoga phrase when I heard it. But karma basically means action. So you're always so in a sense, it's not like I do this 30 minutes in the morning. I do my meditation on my own, and I tend to do some in the evening as well. What I realized is that that's great. Meditation, very simply, your mind wanders, you come back to an object of some kind. It might be the breath, or it might be the changing sensations in the body, or a mantra, or whatever it might be. So the training, it's like, I heard it described like this, like going to the gym. It's like you're doing reps. Mind wanders, you bring it back. Mind wanders, you bring it back. And over time, as you practice that, it's like I noticed this in that the mind, you don't have to kind of consciously think, oh, I've lost it, come back. It's like it just starts to happen naturally. And more and
Mm-hmm.
more, it's like instead of like these, imagine a tap with drips, little drips coming down of consciousness. The more you practice, the more that those drips become more of a stream. You know, it doesn't just say you don't lose it, but there's like a stream of present moment awareness that comes in the more you practice. Like with anything you learn, you need to practice every day.
Mm-hmm.
But what I like about this karma yoga practice is that, yes, 30 minutes sat on a cushion in the morning when you meditate, great. But actually, what you realize is that there's never an opportunity in life, maybe when you're asleep, maybe when you're unconscious, but there's always an opportunity to meditate. Like I said earlier, like when you're working on the business, it can be a meditation. Your mind wanders, you come back to the present moment. Mind wanders, you come back to the present moment. You're washing up in the evening. Again, this can be. And when I lived for short periods of time in a monastery, Thai Buddhist monastery in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
they would call it working meditation. So you live on the monastery, and then it'd have a period where you'd be certain tasks to help gardening or washing up or preparing food, but they called it like a working meditation. So it isn't just this is a break from the retreat. This is another part of the retreat, and it's even more challenging actually, because when you're sat still on a mat, it's easier to maintain that awareness. But when you're caught up in preparing vegetables or washing windows, whatever it might be, then it's easier for the mind to drift, like you said, into its conditioning, into the past, into the future, and there's not as much connection to true self, that stillness. So when you realize that, actually, even now we're doing this podcast, and as you were talking, I could notice my mind slip off into, oh, this is what I want to say next. And there's an awareness. Okay, I've drifted off into my conditioning. Let me come back to what Remy's saying here, and then it might drift off again. So anything you're doing in life, basically, as long as you're awake, can be an opportunity to meditate. It can be an opportunity to practice that, what Remy's talking about here, which is coming back into that flow state, coming back to the present moment. So in that way, whatever you're doing right now, anyone who's listening to this now, can you come back to what I'm saying? Can you come back to what Remy's saying? But the tendency is in life that we're all in this kind of, many people are in this kind of fight or flight mode where someone might be listening to this and they're walking and they might be working at the same time or having a conversation. And so, we're constantly in this distracted state, which is part of the modern world we live in, I guess. But I guess it's about stripping, as much as possible, stripping away all of that unnecessary stuff that keeps us in this distracted state.
Yeah, it really comes down basically directing your focus. When we do some kind of activity, we are definitely aware of the activity, so our focus is there. But at the same time, when you question, am I aware of the focus itself? So usually we are not. And this is the very reason why we get immersed in the activity. It means that we kind of like mix up ourselves, our identity with the activity. They become like an overall blurry whole. And it happens only because we are not aware of the focus itself. Or in yoga, they say, you're aware of the awareness.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So our focus has a tendency to, how to say it, when you do something, we can become that thing. And usually that's what is happening, because most of people define themselves through the activities they're doing. And at the same time, it means that you have lost your identity. Now, this is very deep again on the practical level, right? You could understand it, what I'm talking about. But just trying to give a hint here is that when you are, what people do in the normal life and work is that they're focusing on something intensively, but at the same time, they don't know that they're using the focus. The focus hasn't become a tool for them. It's just that something they're using, and as a result, they are not the operators. They are like just the experiencers of that what is happening. So the focus is really the key here. Is that and I believe that the whole idea of meditation is to really find that inner focus practically. It means that you close your eyes, because if your eyes aren't closed, then there's a lot of disruptions out there, right? Your focus can fall on anything, right? Whatever happens. But when you close your eyes, then you kind of cut yourself out from the external, and that way all you have left is internal, right? And when your eyes are closed, you can still look, right?
Yes.
You can still look with your eyes closed, which means that it becomes obvious that you have an innate tool that enables you to take different phenomena under observation. So I believe that is the very idea of meditation, is to find that inner tool, your inner focus, which moves, which you can direct consciously, which you can connect with phenomena consciously. You can kind of prolong your noticing. And once you're able to understand it on the foundational level, you get the foundations, then later on you can open your eyes and start to use it in your external life every day. But in the beginning, it's really hard to do that, because there's two universes, your inner universe and your outer universe. Let's say your external world, your internal world. They're so mixed up because no one has taught you that. You kind of they're mixed up, they're kind of working simultaneously all the time in real time. And when you're not able to differentiate one from the other, the reason for it is again your focus, because you don't know when your focus moves inward and when it goes again back outside. You don't differentiate that moment when it is happening, and as a result, I don't really believe how it is possible to understand anything, really. I mean, on the level of your memory, you can understand things definitely, because you have your every single moment, whatever is happening is stored in your memory, and you can access it through your active memory, which means that you can always kind of explain things through your memory. But the problem with that kind of explanation is that you're always kind of a little bit cut out from real solutions. Because the memory is kind of the interpreter. It doesn't, automatically explain you the very essence of how things really are. It's kind of interpreting, or kind of there's a filter there. And it's I think it's the reason of meditation is basically it comes down to this, that you're learning to discover your innate focus and really see that wow, it's there, and I'm using it all the time, and depending on where it resides, as a result, I will get my life experience. So kind of the focus itself is creating the experience of reality for me. And if I'm learning to direct my focus, then I can start to gradually control the reality I'm experiencing.
Exactly.
And if I'm able to gradually establish this connection, more in a broadband way, that this focus attention is more constant, or I can prolong my noticing and keep my attention on somewhere for a longer period of time without, the monkey mind coming in and starting to go between things. But I just stay there without fighting, without forcing myself, just through using my focus. It's more of a direct direction, not disciplining or not forcing, but it's directing, right? Because now you have a tool, you know how to use it. So it's effortless, but once you're able to establish it in a broadband way, then oh boy, You will start to see things differently, because now there's abstractions will, fall out. You will start to see, the processes better. And I believe that when we talk about entrepreneurship, and then basically why you are an entrepreneur, why you are a founder, well, basically you're here to solve some kind of problem for others, right? Because if you weren't, no one would pay you, right? So if you're able to break things down, for example, let's say that you have ideas in your mind, and you want to develop a really real life solutions out of those ideas. Let's say these ideas are your own problems or whatever. Then you have to have a way how to break those ideas down to the core principles. This is basically what the first principle thinking is all about. Most innovators who are using those first principle thinking, they use it, but they can't explain how to use it. They just have access to it. And they talk about it, but they cannot teach others how to do it. I've never seen anyone been able to teach first principle thinking on a practical manner. Of course, there's a lot of theory about it and books about it, but this is just a theory. Theory is not the process. So I've never met anyone teaching it on the process level, because even the most successful founders and entrepreneurs, for some reason, let's say that karma has taken them to this path, that they have gained access to using the focus, to gain broadband connection, and they can use the focus that way all the time. So it's kind of like a few people have, for some reason, have gained that access, and at the same time, they don't know how to, teach it to others or explain it how it works. They can just, describe their experiences, but they don't know how to, productize it or put it into the process and teach others. Because the only way to do it is through really become aware of your awareness itself and learn to direct it. And through that, you're able to maybe teach it. But it's already a world of yoga, not anymore business. Kind of like, that. But my mission is to really try to take this yogic knowledge and take it out of meditation, take it to real time, and really develop tools that maybe you can start to get to know more about your innate focus through external activities, because it's really hard to learn about your focus directly. This is mostly the game for people who meditate all the time. But when you're in a business, then, you're focused on the external things. You want to solve external problems. So I've developed a method that enables you, through use of language, start to use your innate focus. So kind of like indirect manner, but then getting back to your focus again. So this is kind of like my method, this clarity method.
I love that. Well, we'll give people a link that they can go and find out more about you. One thing I wanted to ask based on that, because what I find really interesting, I know you've talked about this before, successful entrepreneurs, someone like Elon Musk, for example. Now, it'd be fair to say I haven't heard him talk much about focus and inner work. I mean, maybe you know more about this. I don't think he's doing much in the way of meditation, and yet perhaps he does have that karma, like you said. It's just kind of inbuilt in his history, his lineage, his past lives, or whatever you believe in, that he just has this gift. I don't know what it would be, but he certainly has an incredible focus and purpose behind what he's doing. But is what he's doing sustainable? Because what you hear about someone like that is they just work and work and work and work and work and sleep on the floor of their office and then get up and work and work and work. Because how else would you do achieve what that man is achieving? I mean, incredible. He's putting, planning on putting craft on Mars. He's building rockets that can land themselves. I mean, as well as incredible amount of other stuff, electric cars, and he's managing Twitter, and who knows what else that guy's doing. But it doesn't seem to me that would be a sustainable path for most people. He literally has devoted himself to work, and he doesn't do much else by the sounds of it. And he's not necessarily a great person to work for either, from what I've heard, on the grapevine about people that have worked with him. So, yes, what would you say about that, Remy, in terms of how is he doing this? Is it just a natural gift of focus that he has? And also, is it even advisable to develop that level of entrepreneurship and live that kind of life where you're completely devoted 100% to your work? I wonder what you'd say about someone like Elon.
Well, interesting thing about Elon Musk is that when you really observe, for example, his interviews, then you can immediately notice that he's looking. What I mean by that is that he's not thinking. You can see it, by observing him. Like, for example, when he talks about some kind of ideas, then his eyes are very fixated as someone who looks at something. Right? So for me, it's easy to differentiate him from others, because when he's talking about some kind of concepts or ideas, then I immediately, when I'm observing, of course, I immediately notice that while he's talking about something, he's at the same time looking at it visually in his mind, of course. So it means that his thinking is not operating on the level of meanings, but operating on a level of visuals.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yes, because reality can be understood a lot more easier when you're looking at it visually, because reality is represented to you mostly on visual way. 80% of our perception of the world is visual, and when you think about something, and when you simultaneously observe it, what you're talking about, observe it visually, that it means that you are awaken the observer within you. It means that you're not thinking anymore. Thinking is just something that goes along with it. But the main identity is now shifted from thinker to observer. And why this observing part is important is that when you observe something, you can only observe something when you, as the observer, are differentiated from the observed, which means that there's a subject, the person, and on the other side, there's an object, right? What does it mean? It means that you're actively using your focus. So basically, what Elon does is that he, for some reason, he has learned to actively use his focus in his mind. And as an external proof for it is that when I'm observing him, I can see that he's looking visually at things when he's talking about those things. Many people I observe is that they're kind of like, their eyes are kind of like immersed in meanings of things. So it means that they kind of lost this direct visual with those things that they're talking about. It means that there's a meaning, but there is not anymore a structure. There's a meaning and knowing, but there's not anymore direct discovering about those things that you're talking about. Elon Musk is discovering things in real time when he talks about them. And the reason for that is that he's observing, he's looking on the visuals of his mind, not the meanings of his mind. So that's my experience and my understanding of Elon Musk. Another part of your question was that is it like healthy to work that much? Well, it depends, because when you're able to become the observer, then what it also means that you're out of your autopilot. You're out of your what's the other synonym for autopilot? You understand, right? What autopilot is?
Mhm.
Autopilot is that we have these habitual
Unconscious.
patterns that exactly we use in every day. Them, and it's really hard to get out of it. You know, you always fall back to your habits, right? But once you become the observer, it's very easy to get out of your habits. And the only thing that actually establishes this kind of experience as life is hard, or things are hard, or you know, I don't want to work that much, or I'm scared about the future, fear. These are all automatic patterns. It means that our subconscious is trying to protect us unconsciously through the process of autopilot. But when you become an observer, it means that you're automatically out of it. It doesn't affect you anymore. So there comes your free choice. You can work, you can do whatever, because life is like 24/7 activities. Activities happen all the time. But when you're captured by autopilot, it means that you're kind of enslaved by it. The autopilot tells you that when you should work, and when you should rest, and when you should not move forward. But when you are the active observer, your autopilot loses its power.
Yes.
So yeah, and again, interestingly, again, it comes down to focus. If you know, life becomes very exciting when you are able to establish direct contact with things you are observing. It becomes really exciting, because now you start to gain information from these objects, direct information, and this direct information is not theoretical anymore. It doesn't create inside you these hesitations. It's a direct. It means that you know immediately it's that way, because you see the cause and effect relationships. You see the processes, right, when you're observing them. And as a result, life becomes really exciting. The more you do, the more you want to do.
That's an interesting way you put it there, because I think that kind of falling into the automated mind or the unconscious mind, that can mean that you go into overworking, depending on what works for you in your own system. But you can go into overworking, which can become like an addiction to avoid perhaps something that's coming up inside, or you can fall into an automation and avoid working because you don't want to. There's something you're avoiding feeling or looking at inside. So I think the important thing is that you are, I say, conscious, aligned with what works for you, and really let nobody else tell you what you should be doing. There's another aspect I want to talk to you about, but maybe that's for as future podcasts. But really, kind of like, you know, most people are looking for advice in the external, somebody else's way of doing things, and following that, as opposed to, okay, what actually is aligned for me, what actually feels right for me, and suits my particular energetic makeup. But there's so much more we can talk about, but we'll stop there today, because I know you've got things on. Where can people go to find out more about you, Remy? Because I know, first of all, find Remy on LinkedIn, and I'll put the link in the about section below, because he shares daily content about what he's talking about today. But where else do you want to direct people, Remy, or is it purely your LinkedIn?
Purely, just DM me if anything Alex interested in.
Great. Yes, I'll put the link in below, and as usual, thebuddhaspot.com if you want to find out more about what I offer, and my free purpose alignment assessment in there as well to get you started. But beautiful chat, Remy. I've learned so much as well. I'm sure everyone listening and watching has as well.
Same here.
There's so much more to discuss. We'll have to do this again at some point. But for now, thanks for joining, Remy, and we'll do this again in the near future, I'm sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks all for watching. Bye for now.